I will analyze the essay Home at Last. First of all, I will make a short resume, then an analysis which will focus on language, structure, and mainly themes. Then I'll make a conclusion which refers to the short story Mr. and Mrs. Elliot, which we previously analyzed. So first of all, the resume. At 22 years old, Darwin Mengistu, the author of Home at Last, he moves to Brooklyn after never really having a place to call home. He was born in Ethiopia, and his parents immigrated to the US when he was only 2 years old. Then he lived in many places until he moved to Brooklyn. However, the author didn't really have anything he could call home or a place that he belonged until Brooklyn. He has really few memories of Ethiopia, unlike his parents, which has a strong connection to the home country. In fact, through the story or through the text, his father keeps repeating that he has to remember that he's from Ethiopia, which creates a difference because he doesn't really feel like he's belongs to America, because he keeps getting reminded that he's from Ethiopia. And the first time the author really realizes that he has a lack of the concept of home and belonging is when he lived with his family in Illinois. Because his family didn't really fit in with the local community and they felt alienated. Also, through these evening walks that the author has with his father, he gets the concept of loneliness and what loss means when moving to another country and how his parents have been feeling, and the same as him not belonging anywhere. So, for the analysis, I've been first focusing on structure, but first of all, the title of no, not the title, but what this essay is, which is an autobiographical essay, which means that the story is based on the author's own experiences as a child or grown up and through life. And in this story, it's the childhood of the author, which also reflects in the structure. As we can see, we follow a timeline from when he's 2 years old and how he moved from different cities where he experienced different kind of alienation. So, which also is in the title, as we can, the title Home at Last, which would refer to the idea of returning home or feeling like home at last, which he gets in the end when he gets to Brooklyn, when he's grown up. Also, this being an essay focused on his own experience, it's made in first-person narrator, which explains all. He refers to himself as I, and he says R all the time. And the whole story is written in past tense because it's a reflection in his own experience as a child, and that he reflects over. The text starts out directly with an introduction of the background of the author, which starts out with a simple question, where you're from, which directs the author to explore the concept of home by a presentation multiple episodes from the writer's life and how it made him reflect deeper on the meaning of the idea of home and belonging somewhere. In the main part of the text, the readers found out that the author came from Ethiopia when he was only 2 years old, as I explained earlier, making it impossible for him to make a strong connection to his home country, Ethiopia. But like his parents did, as it says in a quote right here, as I marked it in the text, I simply am Ethiopian without the necessary from, and that serves at the final assurance of her identity and origin. And this creates a distance between him and his parents because he feels alienated. They don't have the same connection to the home country. So they feel a stronger loss of their country, and he just doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere like the parents did. Which creates this different distance between them, and also that he doesn't feel like at home in Ethiopia if they return there, but not even in America where they live now. Also, I lost track of where I went. Okay, also, this reflection that he uses on his life in Brooklyn and the chains of the idea of belonging, he uses that to sum up the whole experience of his life and the change of how he made feeling like he belongs somewhere a choice instead of a feeling. And he used that to conclude his essay in the end. And the themes that the story mainly deals with had the status of immigrants, as he himself is an immigrant and he used his own experience to conclude this. He discusses how difficult it is for an immigrant to find a place where they belong. And the author first begins to associate the concept of home with a place you make on your own by simply moving there. As you can see in this other quote that I have on page 2. Now it was enough. I wanted to believe, to simply say that I was in Brooklyn and Brooklyn was home. Not the last part. However, sorry, I just lost track of everything. But there can be a lot of different reasons that you cannot be accepted as an immigrant. For example, if you just go right up here a little bit, when he first arrived at Brooklyn, he was told there was different arcs and fights and arguments because he was not black enough to fit in. And he's been refused for his whole life and not being able to fit in, and now he just wants to settle down and say that's it and make a home of his own because he doesn't really feel like he belongs anywhere. But in the end of the story, we can see that he gets more attached as he moves there and creates a home for himself instead of being accepted by the society. So the main topic is that you have to create a home for yourself. You cannot expect the feeling to be there from the start. Especially as an immigrant, you have to create your home, your own place, because you cannot return to your own country. And as for a conclusion, mainly we can the essay focus on the status of the immigrant as he uses his own personality and creating this sense of him not being able to find a place to live because of his parents immigrated to the United States when he was only 2 years old, so he has no connection to the country back home where his parents would call home, but he has no place in the US, so he creates his own place in Brooklyn for himself to live, and that's how he understands the concept of home that he has to create it himself. So that's also what happened in Mrs. and Mrs. Elliot. They travel to Paris to find themselves, and they cannot really find something to bind them together, to place to build up a home. And they think to themselves that as a child it would be how they would fit in to the normal societies. But that's not how it goes, and I don't really feel a connection to any place they live. And that's the same for the author of this text.